Finals are over. It's always a challenging and yet very exciting time of year when there's a certain physical and mental exhaustion that takes place with finals. That being said, we've had a good week of practice, and I think we've gotten better this week. We've really tried to focus in on specific things on the defensive end we had to get cleaned up, and along with that, just the continuity of having everybody in practice this week has been very beneficial for us. But again, it's 7 days since we played. St. Francis comes in. This is a very, very good offensive team. This is an old team, a lot of experience. They've got very big physical guards that get downhill, can score it. They've got a four-man that's a matchup nightmare, 6'6", 230 pounds, that can post you, that can step out and shoot a three, that can beat you off the bounce. And then they've got nice size. And so offensively, this is a very good basketball team, and they'll challenge our principles. And they run a lot of stuff. They run a little Princeton type action. They'll back cut you, but very, very effective at getting the ball in the paint. So be a great challenge for us. A team that's I've got a lot of respect for, and very well coached, and a team that again knows what they're doing on the offensive end, and will primarily play man. They play a little bit of zone. They'll press us. So nothing we haven't seen to this point.
Obviously, the video goes out on social media about stacking days, and you mentioned it there, and the players mentioned it as well. How important is it to do that now when you're kind of in a lull, I guess, in the season, as you kind of described it?
Yeah, I think the one thing that I've felt really challenged by is, I don't want to say challenged, uncomfortable with, is the fact that we haven't had our team. We've had a lot of sickness, a lot of injury, and then so many games, and you play so many games in a quick amount of time, and so it's I feel like it's not allowed us to get better and get tougher and do things that you normally do in November. And I've always looked at November and December as a time that I haven't gotten overly concerned with the games, but because it was always about grinding us and getting us better and working through things. And this is the first week in a long time that I felt like we could stack days on top of each other, and we did that. And so I'm excited to see us continue to grow in those ways.
Brad, I wish I wasn't asking this question, but obviously COVID is creeping up into a lot of programs, including a couple Big Ten programs. Is any concerns or issues that you're aware of here?
Well, I think there's always concerns. I think it's not going away. I think we've seen, we practiced. I haven't seen this morning, but I think 10 games already canceled. The protocols and all that stuff that have to be dealt with, I know our people are dealing with, and the league office and so on. We'll see what manifests itself out of that. But again, at this point, I don't know anything more than that.
Jake said that you guys had a week of, quote, Brad Underwood practices. What does that look like? Can we get maybe an origin of how you crafted that specifically?
They were good. They were. I think that we tried to be sensitive to their time schedules. We tried to be sensitive to their academic load, and yet when we were on the court, there was very little. It was not very competitive, very intense, and accountability was we were on alert. Accountability was demanded, and so I think that's helped refocus in some certain areas, and we tried to hit on that.
I guess since we talked with Jake and Alfonso today, just
I mean, the idea of transfers, I think, on both sides, it's like a hope that it's going to work out, but just maybe not knowing, how do you approach that when you're looking to add to your roster via that method, and maybe to balance the scales?
Well, I think the one thing that they're both very different. Jacob came in here and set out, and those have a tendency to work more often than not, because they do set out. They get a year of practice. They got Jake added a lot of weight. He spent a tremendous amount of time individually working out guys, or with our coaches, excuse me, and then working out with Fletch in the weight room. That's a recipe for success, in my opinion, when you set out and you get a feel, you get to know your teammates, you get to know terminology, and you don't have the pressure of having to play. Fonz, on the other hand, has come in and we knew he was elite. He's elite at more than what we thought. He's not just a shooter, he's a very good scorer. But he has fit in quite nicely because he's bought into our culture of work. He spends as much time in the gym as anybody, if not more. That's helped him. He spends a ton of time on film work, understanding what we do. He's in the fall early. He was always with Chester, living with he and Tim, just getting up to speed in terminology and what we do and how our actions work. So he's put in his diligence to buy into what we're doing, and that's why he's had so much success. It doesn't always work for transfers who transfer immediately like that, but he's done that very well.
In your opening statement, you said it was great to have everyone back at practice. Does that include Andre Curbelo?
No.
Coach, two freshmen, Melendez and Goody, seems like they give you something unique offensively, with their length and scoring. Where are they at on the other end on defense? Is that really the key to them earning some more playing time?
It's a key for any freshman. It is, the physical exertion that it takes to guard, the understanding that it takes to guard. They're both doing great. They're both getting a lot better. We saw in the Arizona game, a great example. Arizona went right at Luke, just tried to isolate him and go right at him. And he's a tough nut now. He fought it and they didn't take advantage of it, 2 straight possessions, and got away from it. So it's really easy to pick on freshmen, especially as you watch film and you find out that they make mistakes. But these guys are getting a lot better. Brandon, another one that's made huge strides here in the last week to 10 days, and so I'm starting to feel more comfortable with those guys on the defensive end than I have previously.
Brad, three-point shooting is obviously a huge part of the offense this year. How do you plan and scheme going forward with that, knowing at times shooting can come and go, but yet you've had so much success with it?
Yeah, there's no doubt that we've shown that ability, but let's not forget why we're getting a lot of those opportunities, and that's Kofi. Kofi demands a ton of attention. I think we have very good shot makers, and I think we have guys who can make tough shots, but again, the closer you are to the basket, the better chance it has to go in. That's basketball 101, and I still believe that. And we're going to try to keep driving that ball to the paint through catches, drives, post-ups, whatever, and be able to spray out accordingly. And this is a team that if you give us catch and shoot threes, we've got a really good chance to make more of them. So we're going to continue to shoot them, and but along with that, understanding that a lot of that's helped by Kofi's presence.
Coach, what was your approach this week in trying to get better defensively? What was important to achieve that goal? What went into that?
A lot of fundamental work. We've spent more time this week in shell drill than we have in the last month, and that's on me. 3 weeks, that's on me. And just getting back to some of our basic, non-negotiable things that we do. We've spent a ton of time on our ball screen coverages and communication, I think that every single day has been the emphasis of really playing through and trying to fatigue them and get them tired, so that mentally they have to focus on breathing and being tired as well as the concepts that are presented to them. And so we've really challenged them, challenged our guys that way, to play through fatigue and grit and tough and still be able to execute on the defensive side fundamentally. And that's been a big chore for us this week.
Brad, you got some players from the 01-02 team getting honored tomorrow. What's kind of the importance and excitement of having them back on campus, as you guys, have made it clear that it's a goal to be Big Ten champions, and bringing them here ahead of the Big Ten schedule starting in a couple weeks?
Well, those teams were phenomenal, and I've said this since I took the job. It's one of the reasons I wanted the job. Illinois basketball is special, and I told our guys today, I pray that the day happens when they're invited back and they have a reunion and they're coming back to be celebrated, and it's home. And not every program has that. Not every program does that. Not every program has a family atmosphere that is so loving and passionate. And each of those guys there were 3 guys here today that we let talk to our guys, and they just ooze of the orange and blue and their time here and their memories. And that's what great programs do, is they build bonds and they bring guys together. That relationships are 20 years later, they can still tell you what out of bounds play they ran in the Michigan game, and they can still tell you, what happened in the dorm or whatever. And those are memories that make doing what we do really special. So it's not just that they won, they did, but it's bigger. It's about what this whole program is about, and our guys will get to taste that. And and then Corey and Sean and those guys are all great players in their own right, and they talked a little smack to our guys, and I kind of like that. I could coach those guys.
Beyond just the schedule opening up for more time without a game, how do you know when it's the right time to grind? I mean, just because, like you said, it's kind of been in and out, like, how did you kind of zone in on this week?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, some of it's dictated to you by your health. I mean, I would have loved to have grinded them pretty good after the Rio Grande Valley game before Notre Dame, but it just didn't present itself. I've always been a little bit of a feel guy. I think it's a great opportunity to really grind them when you win. We obviously are coming off a loss, but it just set itself up to, one, our guys aren't accepting that, and I think our guys understood. I told them this week, I hate losing more than I enjoy winning, and I want our guys to be that same way too. We're going to enjoy our wins, but you got to hate losing. And it's not acceptable. We got to get it right, and that's the beauty of this team. The thing I love about them the most is they understand. We haven't been great, and there's a lot of room for improvement. So when you got buy-in like that from your guys, that helps. But it was just the right time, and it worked, and it was a lot mainly due to health.
Since you were at Western at the time, I was wondering if you had any memories sort of in the moment of those 2 Big Ten title teams, just sort of being in the state when that happened.
Like I said, I remember the losses a lot more than I remember the wins, and there were a couple of those that were, I see Corey Bradford in corners making a lot of threes. I'm not specifically, but I mean, we watched those guys all the time. I mean, they were, of course, being on TV, and you just had so much respect for how they played the game, how hard they played, how competitive they were. You don't win championships in this league without having those traits. But just in the little bit I've been around them, I'll be around them again tonight and tomorrow. But the bonds and all everybody talks about is how competitive they were, and how tenacious and tough, and how hard practices were, because they were so competitive. And it doesn't take long to figure out why they won.
Back to the transfer thing a little bit, because moving forward, they're all going to be like Alfonso and immediately eligible. Does that change your approach on the front end, Danny?
Maybe. You know, I think it's a, you know, we're all in some unknown territories because, you know, it's very challenging to, we all wanna be old. We all want to get old. Old wins. And yet old, you know, it can be challenges. I mean, you start looking around at how many transfers actually have tremendous amount of success. You know, compared to the schools that are leaving sometimes, I think it's a pretty small number. It's about fit still, and yet you gotta try to find those, and we've obviously, you know, hit the, you know, to this point, we've hit the jackpot with Plum, but, you know, in the 1-year transfer, you know, immediately eligible, so I don't know, I don't have an answer for that, but I know we're gonna be very selective, but, you can't take all freshmen anymore. Those days are over too.
Coach, for a very short stint, we saw Kofi and Omar Payne in together against Arizona. How'd that go? And do you see a need to go big
Oh, absolutely.
more often against certain matchups?
Absolutely, absolutely. That'll be something we continue to grow. That'll be a package that we grow. We you know, it was something that I liked. You know, Omar's so effective on the defensive end. I mean, our plus minus with him on the court defensively is very, very good. And you know, our 2-point defense gets to be scary good, you know, with him on the court. So, yeah, we gotta find a way, and you know, and we've gotta manipulate the other end the right way as well to fully benefit from that.
Arizona's bothered a lot of people with their interior defense. Is there anything that you wanted Kofi to learn from his experience in particular? What's been his response in practice since then?
Yeah, he's had a great week, and I think the one thing that Kofi's, you know, that's been a little bit different. You know, we're running a lot more sets to Kofi. You know, we haven't touched the paint maybe as much because of Trent's injuries. Obviously, Bello being out, as we did a year ago, where he got just the little gifts. You know, the dump offs, the ball screen actions. Trent getting healthy is going to help that a lot. You know, we saw Trent in ball screens the other day being, you know, phenomenal. So, you know, I think the one thing that he's understood is, you know, he got tired. His conditioning's got to continue to be of the utmost importance. You can never be in good enough shape. He's worked really hard at that, and I think that when Kofi gets tired, he gets upright, and that allowed Koloko to block a shot or two. On the other side, you know, he can be an enormous weapon in terms of that wall coming off ball screens, and we've worked on that every single day. And it's not just him. You know, he's got to have some help from the guards there and some support from others. But we've tried really hard this week to help clean some of that up.
Brad, if I could get one more on Andre, has a timeline for his return become clear to you guys at all in any shape?
No, we literally are. It's a process. It's not anything that's. We're just going to snap our fingers and say he's back. It doesn't work like that. So we'll just continue to pray for his continued, you know, development and getting better and growth, and when they give us the go ahead, we'll move forward.
You said you had 3 guys here from the 2001 team. You named 2 of them. I think the third was Joe Gross.
It was, yeah. Sorry, I did not mean to exclude Joe.
Anything else?